job, huh? Very good.
What the f was he doing? Honestly.
These are F1's most unsportsmanlike moments, and they get increasingly more personal, like when Max Verstappen didn't give the place back to his teammate, and this is what happened next.
Yeah, it shows who he really is.
Nothing to say really. I mean, after all I've done for him, it's a bit disappointed, to be honest.
There is more to Formula One than just about speed and high-tech cars. Behind the scenes, it can get messy. Rivalries turn personal, ambition takes over, and sometimes drivers cross the line where sportsmanship and respect is thrown out of the window, like this.
What an idiot! What an idiot!
Sous la pression de Daniel Ricciardo. Ouais, c'était pas simple.
The first moment takes us to Hungary 2010, where Michael Schumacher went too far against his former teammate in a move that could have ended in tragedy. Hungary 2010, Schumacher tries to squeeze Barrichello into a wall. At the 2010 Hungarian Grand Prix, Schumacher found himself battling Rubens Barrichello, his former Ferrari teammate, for 10th place. Barrichello went for a move down the inside on the pit straight. Schumacher reacted late, very late, and almost pushed him into the wall. At over 300 kilometers per hour, it was terrifying. Barrichello said it was the most dangerous move he'd ever seen in his career. The stewards gave Schumacher a 10th place grid penalty for the next race, but many believed he got off lightly. 1 inch closer, and it could have been catastrophic. But if you thought that was bad, the next one will leave you stunned. Suzuka 1990, Senna versus Prost. A rivalry so intense, it led to one of the most controversial crashes the sport has ever seen. Suzuka 1990, Senna versus Prost, the ultimate payback. Their clash at Suzuka in 1989, when Prost turned into Senna and won the title under controversial circumstances, had already lit the fire. But it was the following year, 1990, when it truly exploded. Senna took pole, but the FIA denied his request to start on the cleaner side of the track. Many saw it as a political move. Jean-Marie Balestre, FIA president and a known Prost supporter, was accused of manipulating decisions in Prost's favor. Senna was furious, and this time, he didn't just want to win, he wanted revenge. At the race start, Prost got the jump from P2. As the cars barreled into turn 1, Senna made no attempt to avoid contact. He drove straight into the back of Prost's Ferrari. Both were out of the race within seconds. It was deliberate. Senna later admitted he wasn't going to lift. He felt wrong the year before and believed the only way to win was to take matters into his own hands. Senna became world champion that day, but at a price. Some called it poetic justice, others saw it as the darkest moment in a legendary career.
How do you feel about being world champion? Not a bad feeling at all, is it? Congratulations.
But not all unsportsmanlike moments happen between rivals from different teams. Sometimes the real fireworks come from inside the garage. Take Hungary 2007, where Fernando Alonso and rookie Lewis Hamilton turned from teammates to enemies in a matter of weeks. Hungary 2007, Alonso versus Hamilton, when teammates turned enemies. In 2007, Fernando Alonso was at the top of his game, a two-time world champion, the man who had dethroned Schumacher, and McLaren's star signing. But what he didn't expect was for his teammate, a rookie named Lewis Hamilton, to be just as quick, maybe quicker. What began as mutual respect quickly devolved into open warfare. By the time the Hungarian Grand Prix came around, McLaren was already fractured. During qualifying, the team instructed Hamilton to let Alonso by as part of a pre-agreed rotation for who got track priority. Hamilton refused. Tensions exploded. Then came one of the most surreal moments in F1 qualifying history. In Q3, Alonso came in for fresh tires, with Hamilton stacked up behind him in the pit box. Instead of pulling out promptly, Alonso deliberately delayed his departure, sitting there just long enough to ensure Hamilton missed his final flying lap. The cameras caught it, the crowd booed, the stewards weren't amused. Alonso was slapped with a 5-place grid penalty, and McLaren were docked all constructor points for the weekend. Hamilton went on to win the race, and Alonso, disillusioned, angry, and isolated, left McLaren at the end of the year. Their relationship never recovered. What should have been a championship-winning duo turned into one of the most explosive teammate feuds in F1 history. But if you think that was sneaky, wait until you hear what Schumacher did a year earlier in Monaco. A move so subtle, yet so calculated, it shocked the entire paddock. Monaco 2006, Schumacher's parking job. 12 years later, Schumacher added another black mark to his record, this time in Monaco during qualifying. With Alonso threatening his pole time, Schumacher accidentally locked up and parked his Ferrari at Raskas, bringing out yellow flags and freezing the session. Nobody else could improve. Schumacher had pole. Or so he thought. The stewards launched an investigation and concluded it was intentional. They sent him to the back of the grid. Schumacher denied it, but the data didn't lie. It was seen as gamesmanship of the worst kind. And in Monaco, a place where track position is everything, the outrage was intense. But that wasn't the only time Schumacher found himself at the center of controversy. Just 2 years earlier, in Adelaide 1994, he was involved in a title-deciding clash that still sparks debate to this day. Adelaide 1994, Schumacher vs. Hill, the title decider that shouldn't have been. The 1994 season was already overshadowed by tragedy. Ayrton Senna had died earlier in the year. The title fight between Michael Schumacher and Damon Hill was intense, dramatic, and in the end, highly controversial. Heading into the final race in Adelaide, Schumacher led the championship by just 1 point. Everything was on the line. On lap 36, Schumacher clipped the wall and damaged his car. It looked like the end, but as Hill closed in to pass, Schumacher suddenly turned in, causing a collision. Both were out. Schumacher won the title by a single point. It was messy, it was desperate, and to many, it was intentional. The stewards didn't penalize him, but the court of public opinion was harsh. Even today, it's seen as a blatant example of unsporting behavior. The beginning of Schumacher's reputation as a ruthless, sometimes too ruthless, competitor. But that wasn't the last time Formula One fans were split down the middle. Fast forward to 2021, a new era, a new rivalry, but the same explosive drama. This time, it was Hamilton versus Verstappen, and the clash at Silverstone would ignite one of the most controversial chapters in modern F1 history. Silverstone 2021, Hamilton versus Verstappen, the 51G collision that split F1. The 2021 season gave us one of the most intense title battles in years. Hamilton versus Verstappen by the British Grand Prix. Tensions were boiling. On lap 1, the two collided at Cobb's Corner. Hamilton's front left touched Verstappen's rear right. Max was sent hurtling into the barriers at 51G. His car destroyed. He was taken to hospital for checks. Hamilton was given a 10-second penalty, but still won the race. But what followed was even more controversial. The celebrations. Hamilton waving the Union Jack, the crowd cheering, while Verstappen was still in the hospital. Red Bull exploded with rage. Christian Horner called it dangerous driving and disrespectful. Mercedes defended Hamilton, saying he didn't know Max was injured. The clash split the F1 community. Was it a racing incident, a tactical foul, or a racing legend asserting himself at home? Regardless, it was a moment that symbolized just how high the stakes and emotions had risen in the unforgettable season. Baku 2017. Vettel loses his cool. Sebastian Vettel, 4-time world champion, known for his calm demeanor and tactical brain. But at Baku in 2017, the red mist descended. Behind the safety car, Vettel accused Hamilton of brake testing him. Replays showed Hamilton did slow dramatically, though not illegally. Vettel, furious, pulled up alongside and deliberately swerved into Hamilton's Mercedes in an act of rage. It was shocking, petulant, dangerous. Vettel received a 10-second stop-go penalty and a storm of criticism. He later apologized, admitting he'd lost control. It didn't cost him the championship, but it did leave a lasting stain on his reputation. Because Formula One is more than just cars going fast. It's about psychology, pressure, pride, and yes, politics. The drivers are gladiators, but sometimes that drive to win overwhelms the lines of fair play. These moments, the delayed pit exits, the deliberate crashes, the dangerous defenses, they're all part of the sport's rich, complicated history. They remind us that while F1 is a sport of precision and professionalism, it's also raw, emotional, and human. Whether you see them as tactical decisions or disgraceful acts, these incidents are unforgettable. They define careers as much as championships do. But the question remains, when the stakes are this high, is there such a thing as going too far?